Welcome to the Wise Practice Podcast. And I am thrilled because we're going to be doing some live consulting. And the question that Amanda brings today is so fabulous. So, before we jump in and hear that, I want to tell you about Amanda Zuccaro. She is born again Christian, wife, mother, new business owner. She owns Personal Community. Amanda is a licensed professional counselor in Virginia and Illinois, an approved supervisor in the state of Virginia. She specializes in OCD, anxiety, trauma, disordered eating issues, and incorporates faith-based counseling as well. Amanda currently works at a private practice as a counselor and supervisor. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Whitney.
Yeah. So why don't you kind of just jump? Well, yeah, let's jump into your question and then I think we'll get some background as we go.
Okay, great. So, one of my questions is how do you navigate indecisiveness, whether or not to leave like your current employer and just go all in with your business?
Yes, such a good question. I'm going to ask you lots of questions
Sure.
because I think that really helps and every decision is different. So could you share with me where you are currently? Kind of like it sounds like you're at a practice and you own a practice. So could you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So I've been with the practice where I'm employed for about 6 to 7 years now. And so I'm still working full time here. I'm supervising as well, a few folks. So I just took taking Laura's masterclass had some realizations such as like I need more time. And so I just moved some clients over so I can spend more time on the business because I'm trying to get some of the basic things done. Like someone's working on my website right now, so that should be up and running soon. And then I'm just trying to do things like onboarding or try to figure out that stuff with simple practice. And then looking at spaces for particular, possibly January, to be able to see people in person somewhere. So I'm still in the pretty much like beginning stages of things, just a little bit more. So my employer, I spoke with him a few weeks ago and he's fully aware that I'm leaving, that kind of stuff. And so he did say that I do because I'm planning to do private pay or like out
A
of
model?
pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so he did say that I do have a few clients who pay that way already, and he's okay with just kind of, if they're open to that moving with me. I'm not sure how many, but he did say that, but I haven't looked into it or anything. And I think that's where I am with things so far. So pretty much beginning stages, those things. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, it's an exciting and scary time for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So when you say at your current practice, you said 6 to 7 years. That's a good
Mhm.
investment. And when you say you're full time, how many hours there are you working?
Now I'm working probably around maybe 25 a week, maybe a little over that. So 25 to maybe 30, but it's averaging around like 25 or a little bit less right now, cancellations and everything.
Okay. That's how many clients you're seeing?
That's how many clients.
Okay. And then you're doing supervision.
Yes.
How many hours is that?
So that's about 3 hours a week. I mean, I still have to do things like documentation, like look over documentation, maybe send emails, that kind of stuff. So I would say probably it's a little maybe over that, maybe like four, 5 hours, something like that.
All right. And so you're probably really putting in about 40 hours a week when you start all the communicating with clients and all the things, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And just to confirm, you have not yet started seeing clients at your private practice.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
And your current setup, are you a 1099 or a W-2? At your
I
current
think
place of employment, are you getting
W2.
W-2? You're
Yeah,
getting a W-2
W2.
paycheck. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And I think I'm asking these questions because everyone's phase of life and where they're at is different, as well as their income goals and what they need. So, like, sometimes I see people who are in a full time private practice and they take the leap and go all the way and put everything into starting their practice. It could be maybe they had a death in the family, so they had an inheritance and they were like, I'm going to do the thing I've wanted to do. Or maybe they
Yeah.
have, like for my situation, it was a lot easier. And I was fortunate in this way to start a private practice because my husband worked full time. And so, could we have lived off his salary and eaten ramen noodles every night? Yes. So we took that risk and we were like, okay, we can do this. So
Mhm.
my question, whatever comfort level you have when you think about the financial aspects, because that's important. Do you have any additional income or do you need to make a certain amount of income per month to be able to survive?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I was thinking about this. So I started to look into my savings actually to consider that. And from what I see with like finances of what I would need a month, I have probably enough to someone in the master class said maybe to consider at least having like 6 months of what you need as far as like expenses, like living expenses, if you're going to decide to just kind of go all in with things. And so I do have that. But another thing I did think about is so my spouse is military and they're away. So they won't be home for like close to it's a few months. And so I can't have this. I do also want to wait to have this conversation with my spouse when my husband gets back. So it wouldn't be something that I decide like right away without, kind of talking to him first. But I do know like financially I do have at least I have that 6 months up
Yeah,
somewhere. Yeah. Hmm.
great. And do you have children to consider?
Yes. Hmm.
Okay. What are
Yeah.
their ages?
So a 15-year-old boy.
Okay, wonderful.
Mhm.
So a little self-sufficient, but not fully, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So, again, it's like some things to consider. It's like, could you live off of your husband's salary? What would that look like? I appreciate what you're saying about, hey, I'm going to wait till he returns before I make a big decision. I'm also sitting here thinking, when he's not here might be a good time to put a lot of work into your practice, right? Because,
Mhm.
when he comes back, you're going to want to spend time with him. You're going to be excited to
Yeah.
have him back. You're going to want to probably take some time off. So I also see this as potentially a really good time. Now, I certainly think that timing is important for your season of life, the amount of money you have. I also think this is so important. And someone said this to me, and I have really held on to it. you you're losing time in the process. So here's a quick example. Amanda, let's say in an ideal world, you started your private practice September 1st and you had September, October, November, December. It's 4 months to grow it and get some
Mhm.
clients. Let's say in that amount of time, let's say you were seeing 10 clients a week. It's pretty low, right? 10 clients a week.
Mhm.
What would you charge per client?
Probably about where I want to see clients. About probably about 230.
Okay. So you're charging 230 a session?
Mhm.
Okay. So it's $2,300 a week times 4 months. I mean, sorry. Ah, I should multiply that by, let's say, if it's 4 months, that's 16 weeks. It's the holidays. Let's just do times 14. Okay. $32,000. Now, if you were to start your private practice January 1st, you just lost $32,000. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Okay. Now,
Mhm.
that doesn't mean that you're not going to be working at your current location, but you've lost that time of money you could have had because now you're more behind. I mean, I don't know if that's really the best way to say it, of money that you could have been earning and a reputation that you could have been growing. So a lot of times people are fearful about starting, but they know they want to start. And so sometimes it's like, well, considering the loss of time, you should just go ahead and make the jump if all other things are in place. It sounds like you have a lot of things in place. And you've got an employer who's also telling you to take some of your clients with you. And I know you're probably thinking clients aren't going to want to leave insurance to come do private pay. This is a myth. I love how you're smiling about it. You're like, I know, the struggle. It's so true. People, look, I have a private pay practice. I have at least 15 therapists here. They're not all completely full right now because we're at the end of the summer, but they probably will be in the next 4 weeks. All these people pay cash because of what we offer and who we are. Do they have insurance? Yes, most of them do. And they could go use their insurance. They come here because of so many other things. Your clients, many of them, unless you're in a really people in a really difficult financial situation, which we want to, pay attention and honor that. But most clients will make it work to come with you because they love the work they do with you. And you could offer them super bills, or you could offer them a sliding scale for people who are your current clients, wanting to come with you. But you're going to be surprised how many people follow you. So I would encourage you to run a little calculation of what it would be like if your current cash pay clients followed you, how many that would be. And then I would take your insurance-based clients and assume half of them follow you. And then think about how much money that would be and if that what you need.
Okay.
Now, another thought, and you'd have to talk to your current employer, and I do see people do this when they're trying to decide to leave and they want to play it careful, is having 2 jobs, like having your private practice and then yeah. Now, a lot of employers probably aren't going to like that or want you to do that. And you definitely need to tell your boss if you're going to do it, because I can definitely tell you people who've done it behind my back and it didn't go well. But a lot easier to do with the 1099 model than a W-2.
Okay.
So what kind of questions are coming up for you here?
Yeah, I guess like with the 1099. So 1099 is more of it's contracted, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I would.
Oh, sorry about that. A good way to think about it with contractors is when someone paints your house. They are contracted to come to your house and provide you a service. They usually provide that service for multiple houses. They don't just paint your house, and so contractors really are therapists who have their own business, their own LLC, their own bank account, their own liability, and they are contracted at other businesses to come in and provide counseling. Makes sense. So I actually could see, and I don't know what your current employer is like, but a situation where if they still needed a supervisor and he needed that from you, you could be contracted out to supervise people at the practice potentially while you have your own business.
Yeah. Yeah. So we actually talked about that very briefly. So because he's interested in, he wants me to still do that if I'm able to, even like after I leave. So we've definitely spoken about that.
Yeah. So what other questions do you have there?
There was one popping up. So far with the pretty much with the steps to take of definitely talking to my employer some more about what I'm planning to do or what he's comfortable with. And then maybe for myself, considering looking at how many clients I currently have that are private pay and seeing how much that would be if they would follow, and then assuming that about 50% of the ones who are insurance might follow and see how much that is.
Good. So it sounds like that was helpful for you.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
So another thing that I want to really emphasize here is starting a private practice is a lot of work. And I see people sometimes think that, oh, if I make the investment, like just the financial investment, or I hire a coach or whatever, it'll all work out. And yes, hiring a coach is great. I mean, you just did Laura Long's masterclass on, private pay. So I know you learned a lot through that experience, but you got to put in the work. So it could be, I know for Laura, and I'm just thinking about her specifically, she has a lot of stuff in that class, like lots of handouts and extra resources that you can use.
Yeah.
So I can say with certainty that the people that I've coached and watched along the way that take advantage of resources, attend teachings, classes, or some that get individual consulting, those people are the ones whose practices grow. But yeah, you gotta work on your website. You gotta work on SEO. You gotta put in the marketing. You can't just hang up a shingle and hope that clients come. You have the advantage of leaving a practice, so you'll have a little bit initially, but you're going to have to put in the work to figure out how to get more clients. And there's
Mhm.
lots of ways you can do that. We teach all those in the Wise Practice community, but I encourage you to, like you said this, I think earlier, just really giving yourself time to work on the business, because those components are really important.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I see you writing, taking notes. I love it.
Yeah.
What kind of direction do you feel like more decisive now than you did when we started the consult, or are you feeling more confused, or where are you at?
No, I think it's more for me to think about because I had in my mind, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. So maybe like by October, I'm taking maybe telehealth only, and then January, then start to see like in-person clients, then and like give it a go. But I wasn't considering like even like the insurance, the clients that pay insurance. I didn't even consider that maybe they would even, consider coming on with
Hmm.
me. Yeah.
Definitely. Girl, I never use my insurance for therapy. I don't want all that on my record and my diagnosis and all that kind of stuff, like, or my kids or my family. Like,
Mhm.
mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I certainly think the idea of doing some telehealth on the side, if that's something your employer's open to, is great. I mean, it sounds like your employer's, kind and willing to work with you and appreciates you. I mean, I think your long standing there probably is helpful for that.
Mm.
And then office space can be tricky. It's hard to find. We want the perfect space, and those don't exist.
Yeah.
So I would encourage you just kind of brainstorm different things. I'd start looking now because the right space might open up now and not be available in January. So don't wait. I mean, if you can find something that's January, great. But like even if you found something in November, but you could afford it now, like go ahead and make
Mhm.
it, because you might actually end up getting a better deal than waiting till January when maybe the rent's going to be 1,000 and maybe the rent could have been 600 or whatever. So I always
Yeah.
say be looking for space. I mean, when I bought the building most recently, I think I spent 6 to 9 months looking at buildings. And then when it became available, it was like boom, like I had to get it within 24 hours. So, yeah.
Okay.
And that was purchasing. You rent, rent at the beginning. You also could consider if you know people who have office space for rent, if you wanted to try to rent a space for just 1 or 2 days a week while you're growing, and then you can always expand from there. And if, depending on any other connections you have, maybe other people, it doesn't have to be a therapist that has space. You could rent space from a lot of different offices, like a real estate office or a acupuncture office or like, limitless opportunities. Or if you are at your church maybe or another church, if they have an office, you could use that while you're growing your caseload. You got options. We don't love the idea of getting in somewhere and then moving and moving and moving. It can mess with your SEO, mess with your Google My Business stuff, but better that than to make an investment in something that's not going to work or be somewhere you don't want to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
It's great. I didn't think about the other options with renting because I was only thinking about like other therapy offices, and
sure.
that's helpful.
Wonderful. Well, great. You have any other questions here for me today? Are you feeling like you got some direction?
Yeah, I think this was very helpful.
Good. So, what are your next steps that you're going to take?
So I am going to look into the clients I currently have and see private pay versus like insurance, and then look into space, possibly like renting space or when's the best time to do that. And then if ducks are in a row for what I need right now, then maybe consider starting or sooner rather than later.
So exciting. Wonderful.
Yes.
Well, Amanda, as we kind of close up here, I know you're a member of the Wise Practice membership community. So, for someone who's listening who doesn't know what that is or why are you a part of that, could you share a little bit more about what it is and why it's special for you?
Yeah, so last year sometime I was looking for different types of networking communities to become a part of. I know more about business now, but even back then, barely anything. So, I wanted to network with other people to get wisdom. And so the guy was impressing on me to wait for like a faith-based one. And so I was like, well, I don't know any. So I ended up connecting with someone, and I didn't even share with them about wanting to join a network that's faith-based. And so they just let me know, hey, this is what is very helpful, was and still is very helpful for me. And so I ended up looking into the community, ended up joining, and it's been amazing. There's tons of resources, way more than I would even expect. And I think the cherry on top is that it's a faith-based community, and that's really important to me because that's part of like my identity, where my identity is, and everything kind of flows from that. So it's been very helpful to get resources from people. I just attended a master class, which is pretty much kind of like in a way a boot camp of like a specific thing. So if you're wanting to move from insurance to private pay, then that's what it's about. So you have this expert consultant teaching you and encouraging you and how to do that. So it's been a great resource and very encouraging.
I'm so glad. And Amanda, you had one friend when you joined, but now do
Mm.
you feel like you have a community of people that you know?
Yes, I do.
So that's so cool. Well, I appreciate you being a part of the community. I absolutely love it. And this has been really enjoyable. I know this interview is going to help a lot of people. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with me today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for letting me get on today.